Game of Thrones is undoubtedly one of the most successful television series of all time, both from a financial perspective and a general storytelling perspective. The show is far from your average good versus evil fantasy story, between moments like Ned Stark's death, Hold the Door, Hardhome, and so on, and with the penultimate season now on the horizon, things are only going to get more intense. So to commemorate the show approaching its endgame and in anticipation of all the crazy reveals to come, today I'm here with 5 fan theories that I think will unfold in seasons 7 and 8. Prediction 1. Euron Greyjoy will be even more twisted than Joffrey and Ramsay, and is going to be the primary villain for season 7. First, let's establish why Euron is so twisted. We know in season 6 that Euron killed his own brother and wants to hunt down and kill his niece and nephew, which is already pretty messed up in itself. The books, however, take Euron's savagery one step further, and while Euron from the books and the show don't have to be exactly the same, chances are they'll be pretty similar. When he was younger, Euron raped and impregnated the wife of his younger brother, Victarion. For this and other reasons, Euron's brothers hated him so much that they kicked him out of the Iron Islands. Later, Euron spent a few years as a pirate, raping, reaving, and doing some very messed up things to his enemies, such as ripping out tongues and other body parts. But it wasn't just his enemies that he mutilated. Once he ripped out the tongues of every single member of his crew, claiming, and I quote, "I needed silence." This is not only on the same level as someone like Joffrey or Ramsay, but Euron seems to have this extra madness almost, that even Joffrey and Ramsay didn't have to the same extent. Euron has sailed all across the world and seen many things. It's likely that he has a great knowledge of sea warfare, magic, and other things that would put him a step above many other villains in the show. In fact, it's been hinted in the books that he is using dark magic to remain young. Finally, Euron supposedly once owned a dragon egg, and is in possession of a powerful dragon horn called Dragonbinder, as well as a full suit of Valyrian steel armor. As for why I think he will specifically be the main villain of Season 7, well, Lena Headey is signed until the end of Season 8, and is making too much money to just appear in flashbacks in Season 8. This means her death won't happen until Season 8, and so I expect her character's storyline to reach its climax in Season 8. The White Walkers too I think are more of an endgame villain, and won't be dealt with until Season 8. I think Euron, on the other hand, will have a character arc that reaches its climax at the end of Season 7, and will have a massive battle that results in Euron's death to end Season 7. For this reason, I think he'll be the main villain for Season 7, with the show keeping Cersei and the White Walkers as playing a more prominent role in Season 8. Prediction 2. The Faceless Men will return and play an important role in the story. In Season 6, the way Arya left the House of Black and White is rather strange and full of loose ends. Let's watch that scene back again.
Finally, a girl is no one.
A girl is Arya Stark of Winterfell. And I'm going home.
It's very weird that Jaqen says finally a girl is no one, when clearly Arya is still clinging to her identity. That should be obvious enough in the fact that she's holding her sword, Needle, a possession of Arya Stark, to his heart. In addition, when Arya proclaims she is not no one and is going back to Winterfell, Jaqen smiles and doesn't try to stop her. I would imagine the Faceless Men would want to eliminate someone who is privy to many of their secrets, but Jaqen seems strangely happy that Arya is leaving their order. The entire scene just doesn't line up. It's either poor writing, which I will concede is possible, or the Faceless Men are up to something. If we delve into information from the books, there's even more evidence that the Faceless Men are up to something. In Season 2, when Jaqen leaves Arya, he transforms his face into that of a different man before departing. In the books, an alchemist bearing a strikingly similar appearance to this man approaches a novice maester and offers him a gold coin in exchange for stealing a master key that opens every door in the Citadel. The novice maester successfully steals the key, but when he returns to collect his reward from the alchemist, he drops dead. The obvious implication here is the Faceless Men stole a key that would allow them to go anywhere in the Citadel, as well as the face of the Novice Maester. This would give them access to tons of knowledge and secrets. Specifically, it's theorized that the Faceless Men are after a book called The Death of Dragons, which gives many details and secrets on dragons. Maybe the Faceless Men are looking for ways to kill dragons, in which case they could end up posing a major threat to Daenerys. Or, and this is even more interesting, there's a theory that Euron Greyjoy gave his dragon egg to the Faceless Men in exchange for killing Baelon. In this case, perhaps the Faceless Men are looking for a way to hatch their dragon egg. This would have a huge impact on the story of both the show and the books if it were true. I'm not sure how everything with Arya fits in with stealing the Master Key and all this business with dragons, but the point is that there's significant evidence the Faceless Men have something big planned. Prediction 3. Daenerys will end up going mad, like her father, and will be a major villain, if not the final villain. So far, Daenerys has been portrayed as more of a hero, and many think she will be the one to win the Iron Throne. But if you think about George R.R. Martin's beliefs and some of the things he's said in interviews and past comments, this doesn't make any sense. In a 2011 interview, Martin remarked on how sick he is of the obvious good and evil dichotomy. He said, and I quote, "We don't need any more, here are the good guys, they're in white, and there are the bad guys, they're in black. Oh, and also, they're really ugly." Look at Daenerys. She has pale white skin, white hair, and is strikingly beautiful, the complete opposite of the typical bad guy archetype. I believe this is Martin intentionally making the final villain of the show the opposite of your typical bad guy. Also, Martin was an outspoken objector to the Vietnam War and to war in general. And what does Daenerys do? She brings war everywhere she goes. Her solution is always killing people and staining the battlefield with the blood of her enemies. She's gained power almost solely through waging war and conquering, and this trend would have continued if not for Tyrion suggesting a slightly less bloody alternative at the end of Season 6. Finally, it's well known that the Targaryens have a history of going mad, between the Mad King, Aerys Targaryen, and so on. There have been many flags in the show so far that Daenerys is slowly walking down a path similar to her father, and while she clearly appears to be fighting against the madness, how long will that continue for? Between all this, it's very possible that Daenerys will go mad and end up being the final villain. George R.R. Martin has stated that the ending to Game of Thrones is going to be bittersweet. What if this bittersweetness is the White Walkers being defeated or dealt with in some way, but Daenerys going mad and becoming evil? Prediction 4. A Stark will kill Petyr Baelish. This makes so much sense from a logical perspective, a thematic perspective, and from what we've seen in the Season 7 trailers. Littlefinger is a type of person who doesn't really trust anyone. At one point in the show, he remarks that he doesn't trust his own men, but he pays them well. But there's one exception to this, and that is Sansa. Or well, maybe trust is the wrong word here, but he keeps Sansa close to him and has an obsession with her. Of all people, it would be easiest for Sansa to betray him and metaphorically slit his throat. Sansa is Littlefinger's one weakness, and in a show like Game of Thrones, any weakness you show leads to your downfall. The next most likely possibility is Arya will be the one to kill him. The reason I say this is in the trailers for Season 7, we've seen Arya with Littlefinger's Valyrian steel dagger. It's doubtful that he would just give her his dagger, so the best explanation is Arya kills Littlefinger and takes it from him, or perhaps even Arya and Sansa take him down together. Finally, from a thematic perspective, Littlefinger was the one who betrayed Ned Stark and is largely responsible for the events leading to Ned's death. It would be poetic justice for the one to kill Littlefinger to be a Stark. For all of these reasons, I think a Stark is going to be the one to kill Petyr Baelish, be it directly or indirectly. Prediction 5. Jaime will kill Cersei in Season 8. Let me start by saying that if this does end up happening, it basically has to happen in Season 8, since as I said before, Lena Headey is signed through Season 8 and is making too much money to appear only in flashbacks in Season 8. But anyways, Jaime is already known as the Kingslayer. He already killed one Mad King who was obsessed with burning people, and after what Cersei did with the wildfire in Season 6, she's becoming a lot like the Mad King. It would be a good parallel for Jaime to this time kill Cersei and become the Queenslayer as well as the Kingslayer. Also, Jaime killing Cersei fits in perfectly with his current character arc. After his interactions with Brienne and Tyrion in the recent seasons, his character has developed more of a sort of moral compass. Jaime is also clearly not okay with what Cersei is doing right now, which can clearly be seen in how uncomfortable he is at the end of season 6 when Cersei is crowned queen. One way the show could frame this is Jaime killing Cersei out of his love for her. Cersei is starting to go mad with the loss of her children, and is not only destroying others, but in many ways is also destroying herself. Between this and the death of her children, the one thing that Cersei cared about most, Jaime killing her would be a mercy killing of sorts. Finally, the prophecy given to Cersei at the beginning of season 5 is a little different in the books. It ends with the line, "And when your tears have drowned you, the Valonqar shall wrap his hands around your pale white throat and choke the life from you." Valonqar is High Valyrian for little brother. Cersei has 2 little brothers, Tyrion and Jaime, who while they're twins was technically born after her. Tyrion killing Cersei, while definitely possible, seems a little too obvious to me. Jaime killing her, on the other hand, would be much more of a surprise and would be a much better choice thematically, for all the reasons I mentioned earlier. It's also worth mentioning that little brother could refer not necessarily to Cersei's younger brother specifically, but to another younger brother, such as the Hound, or even Arya Stark, since there are some who theorize Valonqar was used in a gender-neutral way in the prophecy. I still believe Jaime is the best option to kill Cersei, but the point is that it's certainly not guaranteed. Alright everyone, that's gonna do it for the video. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop me a like down below and consider subscribing for more Game of Thrones videos. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching and have a great day.